Welcome to Classic Books Deep Dive, where we take one book, a stack of research, and we pull out the most interesting insights just for you. All right, welcome back. Today we're doing a deep dive into something I know you've been wanting to explore, and that is how to strengthen a relationship.
Yeah.
And you've provided some really interesting material from this book called 8 Dates.
Yeah, it's a fascinating approach. It uses 8 specific date nights to spark these crucial conversations.
Almost like a relationship boot camp.
It is, kind of.
But it's not just, feel-good fluff.
Yeah.
Right? This is based on some serious research from the Gottman Love Lab, where they actually observe couples to see what really works.
Yeah, that's what's so compelling about this book. The authors, Doug and Rachel, they've been doing these date nights themselves for over 30 years of marriage, so they're not just talking theory.
Wow.
They're living it.
Okay, I'm intrigued already.
Yeah.
What stood out to you as we were looking through this material?
The sheer practicality of it, I think.
Okay.
It's not about these, grand gestures. It's about carving out intentional time together.
Yeah.
The book really emphasizes that date nights aren't a luxury. They're an investment. They talk about how even during tough times, they stuck to their weekly date night ritual.
Wow, that's serious commitment.
It is.
I think it highlights something we often forget. Relationships need tending. Just like a garden, right?
Yeah.
You can't just plant it and expect it to flourish without any care.
Exactly. You have to put in the work.
Yeah.
And these 8 dates, they act as a guide.
Oh.
Each one focusing on a different aspect of building a fulfilling relationship.
So like what?
Trust, conflict, sex, money,
It's like a checklist for relationship health.
It is, yeah.
Okay, so let's jump into some of these dates.
Sure.
Given what we know about you and your relationship, I'm thinking the trust date might be a good place to start.
Yeah, absolutely. Trust is foundational, for sure.
Yeah.
And the book really emphasizes how our past experiences can shape our definition of trust.
Oh.
They share this story of Ben and Leah. And Leah, coming from a family with a difficult divorce, she associated trust with feeling safe and protected.
Okay.
Whereas Ben, who didn't experience a lot of outward affection growing up, he had a different understanding of trust.
Oh, wow.
Altogether.
That's so eye-opening.
I do.
I can see how not understanding those differences could lead to, misunderstandings and hurt feelings.
Totally.
So how does the book suggest couples approach this trust date?
Well, it encourages couples to dig deep into their trust history.
What does that mean?
Like, what did trust mean in their family growing up? What experiences have shaped their current views on trust? It's about understanding where your partner's coming from,
Right.
not just expecting them to operate based on your own definition.
Okay, so self-awareness is key here. Knowing your own baggage and then being open to hearing about your partner's.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
And the book even gets into some fascinating research
really?
about the role of genetics in attraction. Apparently, we're actually wired to be drawn to the scent of people who are genetically different from us.
Wait, seriously?
It's true.
So even on like a biological level, we're drawn to difference.
It's wild, right? And this isn't just about physical attraction either.
Okay.
It even links to things like immune system strength and potential offspring.
Okay.
It's like nature's way of making sure we're creating diverse and healthy future generations.
All right, that's blowing my mind a bit.
It is interesting, yeah.
Okay, moving on. Let's talk about the money date.
Sure.
I know finances can be a touchy subject for a lot of couples.
Definitely, yeah.
And the book dives into not just practical tips about budgeting and things like that, but like the deeper emotional meanings we attach to money.
Yeah, for sure.
Like for one person, it might represent security, for another, freedom or status.
Exactly. I'm thinking of that story in the book about Trevor and Adam.
Oh, yeah.
And how they had such different perspectives on money because of their backgrounds.
Yeah, Trevor, who had inherited wealth, saw money as a means to experience new things. Right.
Exactly. But Adam, he came from a financially unstable family.
Right.
So he felt anxious about spending and prioritized saving.
Right. And those unacknowledged beliefs can create a lot of conflict.
Totally.
Right.
The money date encourages couples to unearth those individual money scripts, so to speak, so they can understand each other's financial anxieties and aspirations.
It's like before you even start talking about budgets or investments,
right,
you need to be on the same page about what money means to each of you.
Exactly. It's about creating a shared financial vision rather than just arguing about who spends what.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
So we've covered trust to money, 2 pretty big ones.
Yeah, they are.
What other date from this 8 dates plan do you think would be particularly impactful?
You know, I'm drawn to the work date.
Oh.
It's not just about balancing jobs and family time. It's about how work impacts your sense of self and how that plays out in your relationship.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
I guess it's not just about how much you're working, but like the emotional weight you carry around that stuff.
Exactly.
Right.
And even the authors, John and Julie Gottman, admit they struggled with this early on.
Oh, really?
Yeah, there's this funny anecdote about John being so engrossed in his work during their honeymoon that he barely paid attention to Julie.
Oh, no. Even the relationship experts fall into that trap.
It happens.
So how does the book suggest couples approach this work date?
It encourages them to explore their individual career paths, not just as jobs, but as part of their identity.
Okay.
Like, what did their parents do for work? What messages did they receive about work growing up?
Yeah.
What are their ambitions and anxieties around their careers?
It sounds like a lot of self-reflection, but also a chance to really see your partner in a new light, professionally speaking.
Exactly. And it's not just about celebrating successes either.
Okay.
It's about being there for each other through the inevitable work-related stresses and disappointments.
It's about being a supportive teammate.
Yes.
In the game of life.
Exactly.
Yeah, that shared understanding can make a huge difference.
Absolutely.
Okay, so we've got trust, money, work. It's fascinating how these seemingly ordinary dates can spark these profound conversations.
I know, right? That's the brilliance of this approach. It's not about reinventing the wheel.
Yeah.
It's about using familiar activities as a springboard for deeper connection.
I'm already feeling inspired
Me too.
to try some of these dates myself.
Would.
All right, we've covered a lot of ground here, but I'm eager to hear more about the remaining 5 dates.
Yeah, me too.
Should we jump into those now, or are you ready for a little breather?
Let's take a moment to let all this information sink in.
Yeah, good idea.
And we can pick up the conversation where we left off after a short break.
Perfect.
Sounds good. Okay, so we've delved into trust, money, and work dates.
Yeah.
Ready to unpack some more of these 8 dates concepts.
Absolutely. I'm curious about the one that seems, I don't know, the trickiest to me.
Okay.
The conflict date.
Oh, yeah.
It seems counterintuitive to plan a date around arguing.
Right. You're not trying to pick a fight or anything.
Right.
It's about acknowledging that conflict is inevitable in any relationship.
Right.
What matters is how you handle it.
Okay.
The Gottmans even have a term for arguments.
Okay.
They call them undesirable episodes.
Undesirable episodes.
Yeah.
That's got a funny way to put it.
It is.
But I guess it does take some of the sting out of it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And their research shows that even master couples, those with really healthy relationships, still have these episodes.
Okay.
But they've learned to minimize the damage.
Okay, so how do they do that?
Part of that is understanding what they call the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse.
Okay, now that sounds intense.
Yeah.
What are these 4 horsemen?
They're communication patterns that predict relationship problems.
Okay.
Criticism, contempt, defensiveness, and stonewalling.
Oh, okay.
So the conflict date is about becoming aware of these patterns and learning healthier ways to communicate during disagreements.
So it's like, instead of letting conflict derail the relationship, you're using it as an opportunity to strengthen your communication skills.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's about learning to fight fair, expressing your needs without attacking your partner.
That makes a lot of sense.
Uh-huh.
Okay, I'm starting to see the value in a conflict date.
Good.
What about the sex date?
Oh, yeah.
I imagine that one could feel a little awkward.
I know.
To plan.
It might, yeah. But think about it, how often do couples actually have intentional conversations about their sex life?
That's true.
It's often shrouded in all these unspoken expectations and assumptions.
Yeah, we might hint around or complain about what we're not getting.
Right.
But a direct, open conversation can feel taboo.
Exactly. So the sex date encourages couples to break down those barriers and talk honestly about their desires, fantasies, turn-ons, turn-offs.
Right.
It's about creating a safe space for vulnerability and exploration.
And the book emphasizes it's not just about the physical act of sex, right?
Right.
It's about like all the things that contribute to a fulfilling, intimate life.
Exactly. Affection, sensuality, emotional connection. Those are all part of the equation.
Okay.
And the book even tackles this myth that sex should always be spontaneous and effortless.
Mm-hmm.
They acknowledge that even in the best relationships, intimacy often requires effort and planning.
I'm so glad they addressed that. It takes the pressure off, you know.
It does.
Life gets busy.
It does.
And sometimes you have to schedule romance to make sure it happens.
You do.
Yeah.
Exactly. And the book is full of practical tips for keeping that spark alive, even amidst the demands of work, kids, and all the other things that compete for our attention.
Speaking of those other demands, the family date is another one that caught my eye.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, navigating family relationships can be a minefield.
It can.
Especially when it comes to in-laws or like blended families and all that.
Right. And the family date encouraged the couples to kind of delve into their family histories.
Okay.
Like, what were their childhoods like? What traditions did they grow up with?
Mm-hmm.
How did their families handle conflict and express love?
I can see how understanding those background stories could help couples, you know, navigate their current family dynamics with more empathy.
Totally.
Right.
And it's not just about the past either.
Right.
The family date also encourages couples to discuss their hopes and fears about creating their own family unit.
Like if they want to have kids, how they'll raise them, what values they'll prioritize.
Exactly.
This would be big conversations.
They can, and potentially contentious.
Right.
But the book provides some helpful guidelines for having those discussions constructively with respect for each other's perspectives.
Okay, so we've tackled some of the heavier dates.
Yeah, we have.
Trust, conflict, money, sex, family.
It's a lot.
Let's lighten things up a bit. What about the fun and adventure date?
Oh, yeah.
That one sounds more my speed.
I think we could all use a little more fun and adventure in our lives.
Right.
And the book makes this really interesting point. It argues that the opposite of fun isn't work, it's depression.
Wow, that's profound.
Yeah.
So it's not just about having a good time.
Right.
It's about protecting your emotional well-being.
Exactly. And they share some great tips for injecting more joy and spontaneity into your relationship.
Like what?
Like trying new things together, even if it's just a new restaurant or a different hiking trail.
Okay, yeah.
It's about breaking out of routines and creating these shared experiences.
I love that. But what if you and your partner have totally different ideas of fun? Like one's a thrill seeker and the other prefers quiet nights in.
The book addresses that too.
Okay.
It emphasizes the importance of compromise and finding activities you both enjoy.
Okay.
Even if you have to, stretch your comfort zone a little bit.
Yeah.
Like, they tell this story about Doug and Rachel discovering this shared passion for kayaking, even though they had very different approaches to it at first.
I love that.
Yeah.
Finding that common ground, that shared joy, even if it takes some trial and error.
Exactly.
Okay. Last but not least, we have the dreams date.
Yes.
What's that all about?
This one is all about getting deep, exploring those big life dreams and aspirations.
Okay.
It's about creating space to imagine the future, both individually and as a couple.
I think that's so important because it's easy to get caught up in the day-to-day.
Right.
And lose sight of those bigger goals and desires.
Exactly. And the dreams date encourages couples to ask those big questions.
Oh, like what?
What are you passionate about? What do you want your legacy to be?
Right.
What kind of impact do you want to make on the world?
Wow. Those are some deep questions. It's almost like a vision board for your life and relationship.
Yeah.
Except you're having a conversation about it.
Exactly. And it's not just about talking either.
Okay.
It's about supporting each other's dreams.
Yeah.
Even if they seem far-fetched or impractical.
Right.
It's about creating this shared vision for a future that's both meaningful and exciting.
This has been so insightful.
It has, yeah.
I'm already thinking about how to apply these ideas to my own relationship.
Good.
Are there any final thoughts you want to leave our listener with before we wrap up this section?
I'd say this. Relationships take effort, but they don't have to be a chore.
Right.
The 8 dates approach is a great reminder that investing in your connection can be fun, adventurous, and incredibly rewarding.
Yeah.
It's about prioritizing each other, carving out intentional time for those deeper conversations, and never stopping that journey of discovery and growth together.
That's a beautiful takeaway.
Thank you.
And I think it perfectly captures the spirit of this whole deep dive we've been on. So to our listener, take this inspiration.
Yeah.
Grab your partner, and go on some dates.
Yeah.
I have a feeling you'll be amazed at what you discover about each other and yourselves along the way.
Okay.
So we've explored these 8 dates, each one tackling, a different aspect of a relationship. But I'm curious.
Yeah.
Is there kind of an overarching theme that ties it all together?
Definitely. One of the most powerful ideas from 8 dates is this idea of building what the Gottmans call love maps.
Love maps. What are those?
So it's about having this deep understanding of your partner's inner world, their dreams, fears, values, history, even their favorite ice cream flavor.
Okay.
It's like having a detailed map of their heart and mind.
I love that analogy. And I can see how that would be essential for navigating all the ups and downs of a relationship.
Exactly. When you have this rich love map of your partner, you're less likely to take things personally during disagreements.
Right.
You can approach conflict with more empathy and understanding.
Yeah.
Because you have a better grasp of where they're coming from.
That makes so much sense. So how do you actually build these love maps?
That's a good question.
Is it just about asking a lot of questions?
Asking questions is definitely part of it, but it's also about active listening.
Okay.
Truly hearing and absorbing what your partner is saying without judgment or interruption.
Right.
It's about being curious, even about the seemingly mundane details of their day.
It sounds like it requires a lot of presence, intentionality. It's not just about, passively coexisting. It's about actively engaging with your partner's inner world.
You nailed it. And the book emphasizes that love maps need to be constantly updated.
Right.
People change, evolve, grow. So your understanding of your partner should evolve too.
That's a great reminder.
Yeah.
To never stop learning about each other.
Yeah.
Even if you've been together for years, there's always more to discover.
Exactly. And all of this feeds into another key concept from the book.
Okay.
This idea of turning towards each other.
Turning towards. I'm not sure I follow.
So it's about recognizing and responding to those small bids for connection that your partner makes throughout the day.
So, what does that look like?
A shared glance, a funny comment, a request for help with something.
Okay.
These are all opportunities to kind of turn towards your partner and strengthen the bond.
So it's about being present, noticing those little moments, and choosing to engage rather than just dismissing them.
Exactly. It's about making your partner feel seen, heard, and valued.
Yeah.
And it's amazing how those small moments of connection build up over time, creating this sense of security and intimacy.
I love that. It's not always about grand gestures. It's about those everyday acts of love and attention.
Right.
But, even with the best intentions, relationships face challenges.
They do.
Does 8 dates address those tougher times?
It does. It acknowledges that conflict is inevitable.
Right.
And provides practical tools for navigating disagreements constructively.
Okay.
And emphasizes the importance of seeking professional help when needed.
Right. Because sometimes we need that outside perspective.
They do.
To help us, see things more clearly or break out of unhealthy patterns.
Absolutely. And the Gottman Institute itself offers workshops and resources for couples.
Oh, wow.
At all stages, from those just starting out to those facing serious challenges.
It's inspiring how they've taken decades of research and made it accessible to everyone.
It really is, yeah. And at the end of the day, 8 dates is a reminder that relationships take work, but they don't have to be a chore.
Right. It's about making conscious choices.
Yeah.
To prioritize your connection, to have fun, to be curious about each other, and to never stop growing together.
Beautifully said. And perhaps the most important message from 8 dates is that it's never too late to start investing in your relationship.
Right.
No matter where you are in your journey.
Yeah.
These 8 dates can offer a path to a more fulfilling and vibrant partnership.
This has been such an insightful deep dive. I feel like I've learned so much about how to build a stronger, more connected relationship.
Yeah.
And I hope our listeners feeling inspired to take some of these ideas and put them into practice.
Yeah, I hope so.
Remember, even small changes can make a big difference.
Absolutely.
So start with one date, one conversation, one act of kindness, and see where it leads you.
That's a great way to put it. Start small, stay curious, and keep the love alive.
Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into 8 dates.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
We hope you've enjoyed the journey as much as we have. Until next time, keep those conversations flowing, those connections strong, and those adventures alive.